What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Grab Your Torch with Caleb and Joel. We are here to talk about the Survivor 49 premiere that we just got last night. We got a nice 2 hour episode. Got to know our cast really well, given the fact that there weren't any major twists besides, your normal Sweat and Savvy challenge after. I mean, it's like the head-to-head one that they've been doing the last couple seasons, but and then besides that, it's just the normal reward marooning challenge and the immunity challenge, and the rest of it was like camp life. So, what do you think about the premiere overall?
I thought it was a great premiere, mostly because I didn't have to bog my mind down with watching someone get an idol and then have to do a backflip and be in a circus to get it. It was just like a very straightforward, like, here's the dynamics, here's like what's happening, why it's happening. And even though like we definitely got more screen time with some tribes than others, like you still know exactly what's happening and like storylines that are set up. So was it like the most explosive, like fun, like, oh my gosh, craziness is happening? No, there was a really, really great moment in it. But it was just a solid premiere for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like overall, like I enjoyed it. I think I got to know a lot of the cast really well, which I enjoyed. I think there's a lot of standouts as well as people that are just like, all right, we're getting repetitive with our typecasting, just like
Yeah.
putting the same archetype over and over again. But I feel like overall it was solid. And I definitely kind of like where it's heading. I like that we have a good like foundation of like we kind of know who everybody is already.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't really know MC yet at all.
True.
Or Sage or Sophie with an E.
With an
So
E.
like yeah. So like I didn't really hear from them at all, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen with everyone else.
Yeah. I think starting at the beginning, first off, that little montage that like essentially was like, hey, here's Survivor 50.
Yeah.
Here's the thing to be excited for. I thought was cool. But I do like Jeff's like little monologue at the beginning of each season. I always think like somehow I know he does it before anything, but I feel like it always like comes around and like is accurate to how the season runs. Like I would think about 46 and how he's like, one of you guys just cannot win no matter what you do, and that's like foreshadowing Charlie, like, and I think it's kind of fun. This one was very much like the evolution of the game, like implying
Yeah.
50. Like, I thought that was cool because I think they know that a lot of people are watching this season in preparation for 50.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the monologue. I thought it was well done. I'm like, give Jeff his Emmy, it's about time.
Yeah, for real. He should get like an honorary one for at least 50 or something. But I do think they did a really good job at explaining like each character, but also explaining like the alternate situation.
Yeah,
Um,
like they actually communicated that pretty well. I
which
mean,
was like,
they said like, "Oh, I'm an alternate." MC never really said that she was an
yeah,
alternate. Like, but from what I gather, I was reading like an article from Dalton Ross on Entertainment Weekly, and apparently like it happened like the night before the marooning. And it seemed like a lot of the cast was upset that it was going on. So like when they got kicked out, they're like, good riddance, I'm glad to see, the cheaters aren't playing, and that they actually get to play with, people that are wanting to follow the rules and, play the game hard. So that's kind of why they're all like cheering him on too when he was talking about getting in. So I thought that was a cool moment.
yeah, and I really like just going on Jason for a second. I don't find him like I guess the most entertaining like character so far, but I do like the fact that like he's literally just like kind of thrusted like in like imagine like tomorrow you're like you're on Survivor.
Right.
Like you have zero time to prep, you have zero time to do anything.
These
And
people that are alternates tend to do really well when like,
yeah.
they are not prepared. I think Austin was an alternate, right? He got second.
Yeah.
So like, stuff like that. Like you don't have
Rachel,
time to overthink yourself into oblivion, I mean, Rachel and Cheyenne were both alternates on 46, I think. But they were
47, 48, yeah.
yeah, so they were able to play later on. But like
Oh
Austin was
yes, I
like
know what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But Austin was like one of those like night before getting that shot. I think that's really cool.
And it's so interesting because sometimes I'm like, obviously the alternate was probably better than who they were picking. Because like you could argue those three are like all-star worthy players. Um,
Yeah,
like
who knows?
like in a different world, like Austin wins, like Rachel does win. Shaheen, like in a different world where he's not on a season that is very boring, he probably goes on to win or at least get to a little bit deeper.
Right.
And so having a season where we have two alternates, and I believe we had a third. One was for 48. I forgot. It might have
Hmm.
been Sage. I was reading the cast before, but there was one more alternate for 48. So there's a couple. I think that's interesting, but so far, I think let's go through the tribes real quick and
Yeah,
see
let's do it.
who do you want to start with first?
I mean, might as well get the boring tribe out of the way and talk about Hina because there's not going to be much there.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Yeah, so Hina had the tribe. I'm just gonna go strictly off memory. We have Jason, Steven, Matt. You have Sophie. You have MC, and then oh shoot, who's the last one? Why am I blanking so
Christina.
hard? Christina. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. I should have known Oklahoma. Dang it.
I feel like
Um,
it's a pretty balanced tribe overall. Like,
I
I feel
agree.
like they're underratedly strong, you know? I feel like
Mhm.
first look at them, you're like, classic yellow, you know? But I think they actually have some hidden muscles underneath there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think like when you look at like their dynamics right now, obviously you have like Steven who's like kind of the center, but he's like very paranoid, like he's playing pretty hard. And I bet that would have maybe played a factor if they went to tribal. But a lot of this tribe has been revolved around him and Matt mainly, with a little bit of Jason. Um, but we really haven't seen too much of them outside of them like just making that fire and winning immunity, which was impressive. They beat everyone from like a good margin.
Pretty, yeah, pretty handily. So I thought they were interesting tribe. I mean, we only got to hear from the guys basically on this
Hmm.
tribe, like barely Christina a little bit when she was talking about being afraid of everything, just for like I guess your TV moment. Like I said before, like MC and Sophie, they each had one confessional, so we didn't really get to hear from them at all. I don't remember their confessional at all, like each any of
Yeah.
theirs. But apparently they had one, which I was surprised by. And then Steven, I feel like we got a good background with Steven. He seems to kind of be in the middle of this tribe.
Hmm.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because they were like showing him like talking to multiple people. Like, I think Matt was saying, or Matt or Jason was like, "Hey, like I hope that he's not doing the same thing with a bunch of other people." And then it shows him like
Yeah.
doing the same thing with other people on the tribe. So, Steven could be an interesting spot. But I honestly believe this tribe's pretty safe for a couple weeks, at least until there's a tribe swap or something. Just because like with how much drastically less information we got about them compared to everyone else, like it doesn't feel like they're setting them up for anything anytime soon.
Exactly. And we kind of like I don't see him going to tribal next week, especially with like I feel like the other two tribes are just like naturally like less like physically built. And we also see wasn't Yellow Tribe also the one who won like they won the initial challenge as well.
I believe so. Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So I'm like they got puzzled, they got bulk. It's going to be really difficult I see for them to lose like all the way that the other two both beat them. So
Right.
they're probably safe until I think there's probably a swap. I think 40 my theory is that 49 is going to be somewhat of a test run for 50. And I do think a swap is going to be on 50. So I think there's a swap of 49.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance for a swap. And then I feel like for next week, it's hard for me to not say that Blue's gonna go again, just because they don't have Flint or like any materials or anything. And once you kind of get in a losing stage, you kind of stay in a losing stage. Um, I do think their tribe is going to be stronger um, without Nicole, which I guess we can kind of get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of a good, you know,
Segue into blue.
segue into Blue.
So
Kella.
yes, let me see if I can remember. So I should. I mean, we just watched it. So we have Alex, we have Jake, we have formerly Nicole, We have our goat Sophie with an I. Shout out Sophie
Yeah,
if you
Shadow.
somehow see this again. You're my queen. Love you. We have Kimberly, and then we have Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Also, is it Annie
I think
or
she goes by Annie. Yeah.
okay? So we'll roll with Annie, but that's the tribe, and they do go to travel.
Yeah. I thought like they definitely had some interesting dynamics. I feel like that was kind of the more like um alliances were being made. I do think Sophie is in the best position on this
I
tribe
agree.
by far. Like if they're gonna flip it onto the major like flip, Alex and Jake are the ones in trouble and not Sophie
Mhm.
there. And I think Jeremiah and Sophie can kind of really come out of this strong. It just kind of depends on how they play it. Um, but if they continue just to roll forward, you know, Sophie, Alex, and Jake are just gonna probably just take out Annie and Jeremiah in the next couple weeks if they keep going.
Mhm.
And then that leaves them in a pretty strong alliance with those guys being probably the first to be targeted. So I do feel like Sophie's pretty well insulated in this tribe, and she just got herself in a perfect position already from the get-go.
Absolutely. And we get a lot of it just because they go to tribal, but their dynamics are very clear. And we also see like possible dynamics. I think this episode did a really good job at like explaining what's happening on blue. And specifically with Sophie, like you said, definitely the best position. Maybe Jeremiah's next. But I also think that this is a very interesting tribe. Like everyone's kind of sussing each other out based off stereotypes. Like we see Jeremiah being like, hey, like I'm gay, people wouldn't expect that YouTube would be like aligned with me. And we see like different things like that I think are playing into Modern Survivor more. And I do think it's really cool to see like the evolution of the game that like they kind of know who's getting like casted now, kind of like we were saying, and they're kind of playing into that where Jeremiah's like, "Oh, I'm like the, like very like enthusiastic, like gay guy," but he's like not. Like he is definitely, but he's like definitely more strategic than what he like is lending on. He wants to seem ditzy, and I
Right.
think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I do think like for sure like a lot of these players like are leaning into their stereotypes and like using that as an advantage like Jeremiah. I'd even I'm really curious about like where Jake's at right now. Like he had an interesting episode to me.
Hmm.
I just feel like he approached a lot of like like the bromance with him and Alex seemed very one-sided with like Jake just talking about it and Alex never
Yeah.
really commented on it or anything. So I thought that was interesting. But I don't know, like, do we think that Jake is in a good position? I feel like he could go the way of like, a Joe, like somebody that just kind of like he's that's what he's casted for. He's the classic strong guy that
Yeah.
kind of wants to bring an alliance, you know, blow through the whole tribe. And I feel like
He
that's
has a
kind of what he
sob, he has a sob story. He has a
right.
duo. And
Hmm.
I mean, credit to Jake. I'm sure Jake like probably saw 48 or at least parts of it, saw Joe make the merge and was like, that's exactly what I have to do.
Hmm.
And I've said this for a long time, but like if you want to win Modern Survivor, you have to have a duo. Like it is essentially like guaranteed you have to have someone to get you into the end game. And so you see so many people are just like, we're a pair. Like we
Right.
like
It's
you.
time to like lock
And
in. Yeah.
and I think Jake is probably very purposeful, being like, Alex, you're the other big guy here. We have to both be here. So I at least have some level of like evening out my threat. But
Right. At
you,
some point.
what are your thoughts on the shoe bandit? That great.
I think it's a funny bit. Like he's not like hiding it well enough to be like an actual controversy, but I think it's just gonna be a bit, during the pre-merge and
I
whatnot.
think that's actually like I think it's like funny enough where it's like it doesn't mean anything. Like the shoe is
No.
like right over there, but it's enough to annoy someone.
Yeah, for sure. And like if he's smart, he does his own shoe at some point too. And like hides his
Mhm.
own shoe.
He's like, what?
Yeah.
But no, I think he's in a good spot. I think we'll talk more about Alex once we get to Rizzo. But overall, what are your thoughts on the vote?
I mean it's pretty straightforward vote, you know. They did a great job with like, making Nicole feel safe. To the point where like thought it could be Annie for a second. I really kind of thought it was Nicole the whole time though. Um, just because like I don't know, they really like lied to her pretty strong, and no one was like, "Hey, we're actually not doing," like the target's on you. Like when she was asking, Alex at Tribal like, hey, like, is it me? Like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, 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 all good. Just like, and then just does not look at her at
Yeah.
all when the votes come out. But I mean, it was a straightforward vote. I don't know if she necessarily dragged that hard in the challenge. Like, I don't know. Like, she didn't really do that poorly, in my opinion. I thought it was funny when they're like, Annie, pull, and she's like, I'm trying, just not pulling at all.
It
On
was
her side, that was a funny moment. I saw a meme. It was like, Annie, pull, and then like the image is like holding like a string like this. So
That's
I just
good.
thought that was funny too. I mean, I don't know. I do think Nicole had a lot more game than Annie,
Right.
but we'll see. I hope that Annie's not going to just be the classic older woman that doesn't get a lot of screen time and, makes it to the final three and is, zero vote finalist kind of person.
Shout out to Sue. Should have won,
Yeah.
man. But I agree. I think this vote, it was kind of like, I don't know. I feel like in 43, if you remember, like that vote kind of was just like, oh, like why did you vote out Maria? Like it was like kind of one of those here where I'm like, yeah, obviously, like I feel like Nicole compared to Annie is like Annie is like this someone who's done like Iron Mans and like all this stuff and has done a lot into challenges. I don't think she's done very good in them, but she's done a lot. Where Nicole is like the puzzle person, but I feel like they probably thought like, hey, challenges are like I think Jake probably specifically was like, we need more physical people. And I do think Alex's relationship with Annie did play a factor here, where he was like, I want to play with someone. It was very much like Gabe and Sue, actually. I was
Yeah.
thinking that the whole time. But they're like, we wouldn't, like, people wouldn't see us as a duo. And I'm like, God, that secret duo, we'll see how many times that gets brought up.
Yeah.
But after that got up, I was like, yeah, it's probably Nicole, even though I don't think Nicole necessarily did anything like wrong.
No, I think you just have to get yourself in the position of being like, you know, if you weren't, Jake, Alex, and Sophie, like you're in trouble. I do
Mhm.
think like even Jeremiah was in trouble to an extent. Like if he performed poorly in the challenge, like he would have
I
been
agree, but he also did a really good job of like getting himself within that
right.
four.
And yeah, I think he did do a great job of like communicating with Sophie and like getting in for sure. And
Mhm.
then also like we just talked about with like, hey, I'm the gay guy. I know no one would expect, us to work together when he was talking to Jake about that. So like, yeah, he definitely worked his way in pretty well. And so once you're not in that four, you're really screwed. And I think that's the biggest thing, biggest lesson in the new era, at least, is get your four quickly and be in that four. Because like these tribes are small, you got to be in the majority, and it's not going to be a lot of moving around. In these early votes, they're very straightforward for the most part, unless you're Genevieve. So
Yeah. But I agree. And like it goes to like fire making. Like you can get a group of four and maintain it because you can just go to four and not have to vote someone out, you know? Like you could be like best man wins fire and you can like really build us like a really strong like we see with the Reba 4 that they were able to do this. But mainly like with 48, we got to see it like fully solidified where like I mean outside of Camilla, but it was like Joe, Eva, and Kyle. And like they were able to get down there with Camilla as well. But I think moving on to the Red Tribe,
do it.
uh let's see, we
Lee.
have oh my gosh, his name is Dave. I think it's
No,
Dave.
Nate.
Nate, Jawan, Where's God Baby, Savannah, Shannon, and Sage.
Yeah, all the S
Yeah.
names.
Oh, I was like, dude, there's so many S's.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's yeah, those are the three S's that are not the two Sophies.
There's,
So yeah, it's a
bro,
lot.
what?
Yeah, I just looked it up and apparently Sage was an alternate on 47, and then
Hmm.
Sophie with an E on the Yellow Tribe was an alternate on 48. So
Wow, a lot of alternates.
yeah. So I feel like that's just kind of like what they do now is just like I mean, who knows who else was an alternate in like early Survivor? Like But with casting, I feel like, oh, we like this one a lot. You're one of those first to not make it. Thing we'll get you on another season, and then
Yeah.
just get them on the next one. And so I feel like that's been happening a lot.
And I like it. I think it's been working out well.
Yeah, I agree. And we've gotten a lot of good players, and I hope that kind of stays the same, even though we didn't really get much from those two. Hopefully that changes and we get to see a lot. And who knows, they might be good players as well. But
Yes.
yeah, let's talk about this tribe. I feel like we got the most content, obviously, from Rizzo, just from the Sweat and Savvy challenge. Can we just talk about that challenge for a bit? That
Yeah,
was
well,
really
let's talk about it because it was the highlight of the episode.
for sure. It was so funny. Like you get there, he's like, guys, if it's a puzzle, we're cooked. So they're all like, okay. Um, I hope it's not a puzzle. And he gets there, it's a puzzle. And I feel like when I was watching it at first, I'm like, oh, he's just, doing that for a bit. He's just laughing. But he's
No.
not do a puzzle to save his life. It was so funny. Like he could just not figure it out. And so you have on the other truck, you got Alex who's working on it, knocks out his puzzle super easily. Um, and then just is digging for, 15 minutes. This was actually also just a super long like challenge too.
Yeah.
I feel like they just like
I thought it was a good one.
took their time like editing it, which I'm
Yeah.
glad because I don't know what else they would have filled the time with. It was already kind of a stretch of an
Hmm.
episode. Um, but and then you have Rizzo coming over and just like copying exactly where the pieces are and in Alex's puzzle, putting it back together piece by piece. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm still doing it wrong." Like I feel like he's like, "Oh yeah, he's getting close." But then you look at it shows his puzzle and he's still missing like more than half the pieces. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, this guy's not getting anywhere. Um, like when it kept going on, I was like, obviously he's gonna come back, and this is hilarious. Like I'm watching it unfold too. So he finally finds the coconut that has the like last pieces in it. Finally puts together and immediately digs it up and wins. So it was a great moment.
It was like it truly was like honestly like incredible to watch. Like it was one of those comebacks where like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like they're persevering. Like it was so funny.
Yeah, he was
Like
just like,
it was
yeah.
so funny him like telling his tribe like, hey, we're cooked, and then being like at the island being like, yo, it's probably a puzzle. Like he said he's cooked. And like he's like he gets there and it's like I was like, okay, maybe he'll like be able to like at least keep up. And he's like already with like the coconuts, he's like, ah. And he's like having a hard time. It's so funny. My favorite part of the whole thing. So he like immediately starts cheating and he's like trying to figure it out and everything. And he's running back and forth with pieces. And then Alex comes back and he like jumps on it. And Rizzo's like standing there. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because you would assume he'd wait, but he
Yeah.
like just goes anyway. And I'm like watching, and he's honestly a really good confessionalist. Like him narrating this is so good. And he just like kicks the coconut and then he realizes and like it's so funny.
It's great.
And
And then him
juxtaposition to
like
like
digging in the sand like with his head and stuff like this.
yeah, he's like I'm digging as hard as I can and he's doing every position of like how to dig. And like he just like and I think first off it's hilarious. I'm so glad he gets it. He got it. It's like such a really also powerful moment where he gets back and he's like just in tears. He's like that's my survivor moment. Like and I got on my first day.
Hmm.
So like already he's probably very happy. But
Hmm.
also like on the other side of like Alex, bro, like I genuinely think he just didn't know how far to dig. I think he got it initially and he just did dig far enough down.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
it was like really far down
it
there.
was pretty deep. Yeah. Yeah, I think he kind of overthought it and just like,
Started going.
yeah, started digging everywhere else. But yeah, that was a really funny moment. And then I feel like we did get a lot of Savannah content too. I mean, we're gonna just talk about it just because it's kind of, I guess, normal information that most people know. But just
Spoilers.
yeah, spoiler warning. But with Rizzo and Savannah both being on season 50, I mean, just they're setting up for it, obviously. Like they
Yeah.
both had probably like close to the most amount of content on the episode. I mean, it obviously helped that Rizzo had that, challenge, but Savannah outside of that still had a lot of content, just chilling on the island. So I don't know. Well, I'm curious to see like what they're up to. There's even more interesting dynamics here. So like you have this conversation with Savannah, Jawan, and Shannon at the well when they're like, yeah, let's, work together, stick together, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, great. This is an alliance. And then you have a scene later on with Jawan trying to start a fire and he can't figure it out. And so he crashes out. And so Savannah's like, I don't think I want him on my alliance because, if something goes wrong, like he's going to crash out and get emotional and have an emotional outburst. So then she brings in Nate, or but Rizzo's already assumed to be in, even though we weren't told that already. So
Yeah.
I'm a little confused like with the storytelling. All I know is that Sage is cooked.
Yeah, Sage is not in a good spot at all. We've already seen that like Sage is like someone that's like very blunt, and even Nate's like, I don't want to be with someone who can't keep their mouth shut. And we already see Nate being a lot very like, hey, I need to like not be the dad, but I also need to like just chill, stuff like that. But I do think Jawan's little like casting thing was fun. But it was also kind of sad to see him be like, I'm just trying to provide and just like get emotional about not making the fire. And Savannah being like, I can't trust him. Um, it was cool to see because like I think we're all like these like obviously these two are like the characters we are like expecting a lot out of to replace Andy and Marianne, two very popular players. Um, and I think Rizzo did a really good job, but I think Savannah did a great job of like really pushing back against a lot of the tropes of Survivor, where I know like a lot of the community is like, oh my gosh, she like hates all the kumbaya, like she's like being very snarky to everyone. And I think she did a really good job of like setting up her personality that she's like, Shannon, like I can see past this. Like she's smart.
Right,
And this kumbaya and her saying like I'm not part of it is her also being like, I'm not gonna fall for this. Like I'm playing the game.
right.
And I think it's really cool to see like she feels very old school in a very new school season.
Yeah, I agree. And like we were talked about in like the preseason podcast that we did, like I feel like she definitely had the most like um I guess like gamesmanship content in her like 1 minute video and stuff.
Hmm.
And so I feel like she's gonna probably just play really hard this season, given the information that we know. And then also like one of her first, I think it was her first commercials. Like she was like, "Yeah, you can already write the check for me,"
Yeah,
something
easiest
like
million
that.
I'm ever
Yeah,
gonna have.
easiest million I'll ever make. And I'm like,
And I do feel like that is like a very cheeky like
very
to the super
cheeky.
fans like, yeah, we know you know, but
I don't know. They're gonna pretend like we don't, even though it's been
yeah,
leaked.
they're gonna try their best, but
Yeah.
we know
Um,
those two are making top six.
yeah, I mean, like I feel like bottom, like top 8 at the very least, for these people.
Yeah. I am like of the mind, like here's the thing, if Savannah, in my opinion, doesn't win, I think they royally screwed her on 50. Like, because people are gonna go into the game assuming she did, being the only
Just
like
like, yeah, being the only person they don't know on their tribe, seeing
they
the other two
know
tribes and seeing winners on both of their
they're
tribes.
gonna assume it, even if she doesn't win.
Right.
And like a part of me is like, dude, I feel like there's a shot. Like, I feel like there's a shot someone else does, and they did
For
royally screw.
sure. There's definitely a shot. Like I don't think it's guaranteed or anything. I think if people think it's, written, it's already, I don't know.
I think it's like very likely, but I don't think it's.
Yeah, and I think like, oh, if Survivor just picked people like not 49 people, like man, we could have gotten into a pretty un like I guess a more unfiltered season, I guess. I don't know, like just
Yeah, I actually would have like my winner pick would have been like I've been like,
people that already know like I mean, we would know nothing about 49. Like I feel like we'd have a pretty good like, just solid like normal new era season. Um and we wouldn't have all the speculation. I feel like this basically is spoiling this season, just like
mhm.
from no, the knowledge that they're going to be on 50. And it's like they have like when they have these, returning seasons, they always get leaked, like the cast and stuff. Like we had the winners at Warcast for a while before that season aired. Um, I just I don't know. We'll see if that's actually the case or not. I'd be surprised at this point if she doesn't win.
Yeah. But I will say on a completely different note, if to any people out there who watch the Influencer Survivor, I want to say that that challenge was exactly the influencer challenge that they did on that season, and it was actually low key very good. Um,
Yeah, it was a great challenge.
I really like that challenge, and I like the influencer season. I actually like. I'm gonna spoil it because who cares? Because nothing happens and there's no winner. But surprisingly, Carl from Mr. Beast is low-key like so good at Survivor. And I've been a fan of Carl for a little bit, so that was very happy to see. But it was cool to see like that as like a teaser to 48, 49.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, just know he does
Did,
well.
did they actually like vote anybody off or just like
They vote off one person,
oh, okay. So
and it does
it's
play
like
into
a
it because
oh, so
yeah,
it's basically like a one cycle.
basically the challenge that they do is like for immunity, like
Gotcha.
individual.
Gotcha.
So take it out, you
Yeah,
will.
gotcha. It was a very interesting challenge. Like I thought for once, like we didn't have your logo puzzle at the end. Like we had that I thought it was a good we might have had that puzzle before. I feel like we've had those kind of
I think we have.
snake things before, whatever. But like I'll always love a good like dragging a big like animal shaped object
Yeah.
around through
I
stuff. Like
also think
that the snakes are
um
cool.
I also think the opening challenge was actually like pretty good.
Yeah, I
Like
agree. Like you have your going into the jungle and you have your going out to the water.
I like it because I feel like we don't get water challenges all that much anymore.
Yeah,
And that was like a very classic like go out there, grab this, come back.
right. Yeah, that's something that's been a staple forever. So it's nice to see that for sure.
Exactly. Well, I don't think I have too much more. What do you think of
I
the
mean,
preview?
I mean, there wasn't really much in the preview. Something that's never happened before, whatever
And
on
it's
the
like,
challenge.
who knows?
I don't care. It'll probably be like I don't know. I can't guess, but I don't have any good guesses. But I feel like I did enjoy the fact that there weren't any like crazy like idle scrambles early on. I mean, okay, idols I'm fine with. I don't care if they are finding idols, whatnot. I pretty much have enjoyed more recently like what they've done with Beware Adventures. I think since
Mhm.
like 44, like doing the birdcage thing, like they've tried to do something with them every time and not make them just like, oh, I found it, now I get the idol. Like they're more it's just more of a, like a three-step process to getting it
Mhm.
instead of just like stumbling across it. So like that doesn't bother me at all. The journeys, however, like losing votes, no lost votes. Like, oh, that was great. It was great that we didn't have any lost votes. Like, I'm tired of it. Been done with that. Um, I assume they'll probably go on a journey next episode though. Anyway, but I think, um, I don't know. I think it's probably for the best if they kind of limit that. I guess.
I hope so. I hope like if my theory is right that they are limiting or they're doing stuff for like 450 that like if there's a journey it is like just once like and something not all the time if at all because please no. But I do appreciate how they edited this, and I think they really wanted to give this cast a lot of like limelight where no one got purpled, from my recollection. At least everyone got an edit, and we got to see like some people that like aren't like Rizzo or like Savannah or these like eye-popping players, but we got like a good bit from them.
Yeah,
Like
no,
Jawan, like
yeah.
Jawan got like a pretty solid edit.
I feel like most people I know, like I'm for sure more than 50%, I kind of know where they're at, you know, which is a lot coming from a premiere. And so I'm grateful for that. And I hope that this is just a good, groundwork episode. A lot of stuff kind of builds off a lot, like going forward, but we'll see.
Hopefully so. Well,
But yeah,
yeah.
I don't have any much else to talk about, but we should be back next week to talk about episode 2. So thank you guys so much for watching. And be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. And then comment just your thoughts on the premiere. And we'll see y'all later. Sophie, if you're watching, you're doing great.
Yes.
Keep
Shout out
going.
Sophie.
But
All right.
anyways, y'all have a wonderful rest of your week. See ya.
Yeah.